About 1918, Mr. Ignat Steinhart, a prosperous merchant in the city of San Francisco, decided that Western North America needed a major aquarium. He approached Dr. Barton Warren Everman, who was then director of the California Academy of Sciences, and proposed that he, Steinhart, should make funds available to construct this aquarium for the city, and that the Academy would then operate it. Opening day was September 23rd, 1923, and in the 42 years since then, more than 56 million visitors have viewed the fishes and other animals. Corrosion is always a deadly problem in aquariums, and so in 1962 and 1963, the entire building was reconstructed with city bond funds provided by San Francisco. Steinhart is different from all other American aquariums because it follows the European plan of not only showing fishes, but also amphibians, reptiles, and aquatic mammals. Science in Action visits the new Steinhart Aquarium.
The North Pacific Ocean abounds with marine life, including many forms that occur in no other area. These range from the world's largest species of octopus with a tentacle spread of as much as 18 feet and a weight of 120 pounds, to the brilliant orange sea feathers, which are best described as colonial invertebrates, related to both the stony corals and the anemones. Color runs rampant among some of the anemones, especially the brilliant red gregarious, often observed by skin divers at shallow depths along the colder western American coastlines. Maximum diameter for this small but prolific species is about 1/2 inch. Visitors to our seashores are familiar with the green or brownish intertidal anemones, which are so flower-like in appearance, but like the other anemones are actually animals and not plants. The Pacific Coast scuba diver recognizes the giant red Telia anemones, which are most abundant in rocky areas at depths greater than 40 feet. These have stinging cells which will often immobilize small fishes and other animals lacking immunity to their powerful toxin. The graceful burrowing anemones, known as Cerianthus, found in muddy and sandy areas, have equally lethal stinging cells. The anemones of the tropical Indo-Pacific, not to be outdone by their cold water cousins, often have brilliantly colored fishes associated with them, making up somewhat for their drab appearance. It is exhibits of this kind that draw some 3 million visitors each year to the Steinhart Aquarium at the California Academy of Sciences. To find out about the design and maintenance of these exceptional animal displays, we followed Steinhart Aquarium's secretary to offices and laboratories in the basement, passing by the Moorish idol, the aquarium's official insignia, to talk with the superintendent and curator, Dr. Earl S. Harold.
You know, one of the problems we have in the modern aquarium is that we crowd fishes and other kinds of aquatic organisms together in tanks. This results in a tremendous buildup of bacteria, which may not necessarily be a healthy situation. For example, we obtained a sample of water from one of the fish systems and plated it on this blood auger plate. You can see the profusion of bacteria growing there. But if we take this same water and sterilize it with ultraviolet, you can see that most of the bacteria have been killed on this second plate. Let me show you how this works in actual practice.
Along the back wall are filter beds for 6 of the 8 water systems in the aquarium. There are 4 systems of fresh water and 4 systems of salt water. This is one of the ultraviolet units, which kills the majority of bacteria and other living contaminants before the water circulates through the tanks once again. This is an excellent method for controlling the bacterial environment for fishes. But C-Lab 2 proved that controlling the aquatic environment for man had many difficulties. Built at Hunters Point Naval Shipyard, then transported to La Jolla, California, C-Lab 2 made diving history. This fish, the California scorpion fish, sometimes called sculpin, also made history when it stabbed aquanaut Scott Carpenter. Mild venom glands along the spines of this fish can give a painful puncture wound. Fishermen are well aware of this and handle the scorpion fish with great care, often using pliers. This fish belongs to the large family of rockfishes, which also includes the world's second most venomous fish, the turkey fish, sometimes called lionfish. These attractive fish are found in the tropics from Polynesia to Africa, and when aggravated have actually been known to attack the intruder with the long dorsal spines. Although the stab wound from the turkey fish is quite painful, one never actually dies as a result of the wound, although sometimes one wishes that one could die. That kind of honor is reserved for only one fish, the deadly stonefish, which usually conceals itself half submerged in the sand. The unwary swimmer stepping upon this lethal fish finds the hidden dorsal spines penetrating the sole of his foot. Death may result in 2 hours from this neurotoxic venom for which there is no antidote. But if the victim does recover, the effects of the venom may linger for many, many months. The jawfishes are noted for their constant digging and excavation of the holes in which they live. Most of the gravel and the rocks in this small aquarium can be moved in one night by the activity of this large-eyed jawfish from the Gulf of California. These fishes are usually caught by scuba divers using an anesthetic which is squirted down the hole of the unsuspecting jawfish. The fish becomes groggy, comes up out of his hole, and is scooped up by the diver for subsequent transport to the aquarium.
Snake alarm, testing. This is a snake alarm test.
That siren could mean a serious accident resulting from the bite of a poisonous reptile. But fortunately, this is only a routine test. Visitors in the Steinhart reptile and amphibian section are usually fascinated by the cobras. The common hooded variety excites interest, especially when at attention and facing a disturbing object. This species, known as naja, reaches a length of some 6 feet and is found in the India region. Dark color patterns are typical of 4 of the 5 species of cobras. The conspicuous exception is the golden cobra of the Cape region of South Africa. This brightly colored form does not expand its hood as often as do the other types. Most cobras, including this species, feed on rodents or other small mammals. The exception is the largest and most dangerous of all the cobras, the giant king cobra of Asia, that may reach a length of 15 to 18 feet. Its food consists of other snakes. In the past 9 months, this one individual has consumed 22 gopher snakes, totaling 80 feet of snakes. This is a very aggressive species, and each year in India, several hundred people die as the result of its bite.
Steinhart specializes in albinos, those strange animals without normal pigment that can usually be recognized by the pink eyes. This species is the Pacific rattlesnake, showing the contrast between the normal dark color pattern and that of the albino, which in this case is light pink. These albinistic rarities are uncommon in the reptile and amphibian world, but they are known in a few species, such as the California king snakes, here shown in the normal black or brown and white contrasting color pattern, the somewhat rare striped pattern, and the very light pinkish and white-banded albino form, which indeed is a great rarity. Pacific gopher snakes also show an occasional albino, as demonstrated by this trio. First of all, the normal blotched pattern, secondly, the striped pattern, and finally, the very light albinistic pattern. The most famous of the world's amphibian albinos is a bullfrog named Alvin, who for many months lived in his display tank at Steinhart. One day, some unknown villain kidnapped Alvin, leaving behind in the tank a single normal but very lonely bullfrog. Alvin's new home was said to be the bathtub in the frog napper's house. After a year, they needed the bathtub for other purposes and so decided to return Alvin to Steinhart. Haste news reporter Art Hoppy was selected as intermediary and sworn to secrecy about the identity of the kidnappers. He then returned Alvin, who should really have been known as Alvetta, to his or her original home. The displays in the modern aquarium are entirely dependent upon what takes place in the laboratory. Fishes that die are carefully examined for parasites or other disease conditions that might affect the remaining animals. Treatment is then instituted based upon these findings. Materials to be used in an aquarium water system must first be checked for toxicity to fishes and other aquatic organisms. At the request of the U.S. Department of Interior, studies in these tanks are being conducted on the silicones, that is, the silastic-type glazing compounds used to put aquariums together, and to determine whether delayed toxicities might develop after several months. In this case, the test fishes are sticklebacks. They are ideal for this purpose since they will live either in freshwater or in salt water. On rare occasions, a new and undescribed species of fish is brought into Steinhart Aquarium. Such is true of this peculiar sea poacher, a member of the family Agonidae. It was found at Monterey, California, amongst seaweeds, and is having its strange behavior recorded for the first time. Although many species are known in the sea poacher family, none has ever shown mobility of this kind.
Emergency. Information coming to the master control panel from 6 miles of plastic pipe in 8 different water systems tells the engineer where the trouble is located. Following the alarm, he checks the temperature scrolls and the entire system where the trouble is developed to make sure that all is functioning normally.
Fishes that have the capability of walking along the bottom always create comment. The Atlantic coast sea robin is one of the most startling. Actually, a part of the pectoral fin is modified in the form of long fingers, which then enable the fish to move delicately across the bottom as it searches for food. In Florida and the warmer sections of the Atlantic, there occurs the strange walking fish known as the Batfish. It is a shallow water relative of a deep sea group of special angler fishes. The Batfish is considered an angler because it has a fishing pole or lure located in a recess just above the mouth. When there is food in its area, he sometimes pushes out this fishing pole supposedly in an effort to attract food. When the Batfish ambles across the bottom, it looks for all the world like a miniature tank supported by very inadequate legs. Other kinds of bottom-walking anglers, which look like big blobs of nothing, are occasionally found in shallow waters from the Hawaiian Islands to Africa. They rely on camouflage to avoid their enemies and also to enable them to sneak up on their prey, which is always another fish. The fishing pole in this type of angler is very thin and hair-like and lies just above the mouth. The strange gruntfish is a Pacific Coast sculpin-like species noted for the female's capture of the male, forcibly detaining him sometimes for as much as a month until he fertilizes the eggs, and then he is free to go. A friend of the aquarium's, Jeff Meyer, traveling to Norway, agreed to take some of these comical rascals to the new aquarium in Bergen. In return, the Bergen Aquarium sent to Steinhart 2 individuals of the world's largest freshwater fish, the giant Volga sturgeon, Huso, which reaches a length of 28 feet and a weight of 2,800 pounds and can live to be 75 years old. These new arrivals were placed in a tank along with the California state fish, the golden trout. Actually, these youngsters had been brought to Bergen in July of 1964 by Nikita Khrushchev, former premier of the USSR. Having outgrown their Bergen tank, 2 of the group were sent to Steinhart on exchange. They are the only European sturgeons in North America at the present time. The Archerfish is the famous spitting fish of the tropical Indo-Pacific region. It reaches a length of 6 to 8 inches and lives in fresh, brackish, or salt water. It is noted for its ability to spit at insects flying overhead and to knock them into the water where they are quickly eaten. In fact, the Archerfish has even been credited with putting out a lighted cigarette at a distance of 10 feet. A special movie camera operating at 10 times the normal speed was set up in front of the Steinhart Archerfish tank. The fishes could then be observed in slow motion moving around the target, which was a plastic sheet on which small bits of hamburger had been placed. A solid spurt of water is forced out of the Archerfish's mouth. It goes up towards the food, knocking bits of hamburger into the tank. The Archerfish has a parallax problem since the food is not located in the position in which he sees it. He compensates for this by moving the body vertically in the water, which decreases the parallax and increases the accuracy. The tongue of the Archerfish is important in producing the water projectile. It moves up against the top of the mouth to form a rifle groove, and at the same time the gill covers are pressed together, which forces the water pellet towards the target. Not only will archers spit at the food, they will also jump, especially when the food is near the fish. Unfortunately, this quite often leaves the others without any food. For a number of years, the research program at Steinhart has been concerned with the elasmobranch fishes, that is, the sharks and the rays. Blood samples from sharks can easily be taken merely by inserting the hypodermic into the heart, from which a small volume of blood can be withdrawn without injury to the shark. This is then taken to the laboratory for study. Several sharks in the aquarium have had multiple blood samples taken over a period of many months. Each of these sharks must be identified. This is done by a special tag developed by Stuart Springer of the Shark Research Panel of the American Institute of Biological Sciences. A leather punch is used to make a small hole in the dorsal fin of the shark, after which the tagging pliers are used to attach the plastic tag permanently to the shark's fin. On one side is the number, and since this tag is also used in the study of shark migrations in San Francisco Bay and elsewhere, the other side of the tag reads, "Reward, return tag to Steinhart Aquarium, San Francisco. Give length, date, place captured." We should point out that most sharks and rays can remain out of water for 5 or even 10 minutes without too much difficulty. There is one special species, the leopard, that makes an ideal research animal, since it thrives easily in all temperatures from 50 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit and lives for at least 10 years in captivity. Although the leopard has sharp teeth, it's really a rather docile animal. It has a maximum length of around 5 feet. Now, these fishes have been shipped to many parts of the world from Steinhart. The first shark to travel from the Atlantic to the Pacific was the nurse shark. In fact, several about this size were shipped from Miami Sea Aquarium, and now 8 years later have reached a weight of more than 100 pounds and may reach a weight of 300 pounds and 12 feet before they are full grown. These sharks have a record of attacking skin divers, especially those who molest them. In captivity, they spend most of the time just sitting on the bottom and are usually only active at feeding time.
During October of 1965, I joined an expedition to the central Amazon sponsored by our country's newest aquarium at Niagara Falls. The fishes we found there were extremely abundant, the kinds of fishes that we have in this tank. The giant pacu, related to the bloodthirsty piranha, but lacks the tearing teeth, extremely good to eat. The very graceful arowana, noted for its tremendous jumping ability. And then finally, the fish that is noted for its eating ability as far as people are concerned, the tucanaray, also called leuconaray, that the Florida Department of Fish and Game is checking now as a possible introduction as a sports fish. The interesting thing was that in the low water in the Amazon, these fishes are almost as common as minnows are in some parts of our country.
The Niagara Falls Aquarium Group was also interested in the capture of freshwater dolphins. And for that purpose, we had a net about 900 feet long and some 16 feet deep. Beginning around 4 o'clock in the morning, these dolphins would begin to move inshore from the deeper parts of the Rio Negro and Amazon rivers. At such times, it was possible to capture them with a minimum of difficulty, even though the water temperatures might be as high as 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Actually, there are two kinds of freshwater dolphins in the Amazon. This type being known as Sotalia, sometimes called the sacred dolphin or tukashi. It is related to the marine dolphin. The other type of Amazon dolphin has a very long, slender snout and is a type found only in fresh water. In addition to the Amazon, there are similar long-snouted species in the La Plata River of South America, another in the Yangtze River in China, and the fourth, a totally blind species in the Indus and Ganges rivers of India. Whiskers, as he is called, arrived at Steinhart in September of 1964, a gift of the San Francisco Aquarium Society. His weight has been static at 66 pounds, and he normally consumes about 4 or 5 pounds of food a day. His chromosome count is 42, and it may be that Whiskers represents a new and totally undescribed species. Now please keep in mind just how he looks, because in a few moments we will compare this freshwater species with the marine dolphins. The Pacific white-sided dolphins are certainly as friendly as the freshwater varieties, and they often indicate their interest in people by wading adjacent to the work area in order to have their heads scratched. Of course, Sissy, the harbor seal and the aquarium's mascot, is nearby and quite often attempts to steal food away from the dolphins. Sissy actually thinks that she is a dolphin. The regular feedings of these animals 4 times a day are conducted by Tom Green from the platform. Normal food intake per animal is around 25 pounds a day of mackerel, each mackerel weighing approximately 8 ounces. One or more days of the week, the dolphins are fed underwater. And this is a job that Miss Phyllis Ensrud, the aquarium secretary, would much rather do than work with a typewriter. From the viewing corridor, the visitors can easily observe the agility of these cold water marine animals. The water temperature is around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, as compared with 82 degrees for the freshwater dolphin we saw earlier. White-sided dolphins are normally found offshore, and they can be observed in captivity at only 2 places, Marineland of the Pacific and here at Steinhart Aquarium. These animals weigh about 200 pounds, and their health is monitored routinely by blood tests, usually taken about every month.
We hope that this quick tour of a few of the highlights at Steinhart Aquarium at the California Academy of Sciences has given some insight into the complex problems of the aquatic environment. Now, the simplicity of our common goldfish has disappeared, because today this goldfish is represented by a mathematical formula, and his requirements are calculated by slide rule or by computer. If the Steinhart theories hold true, then our goldfish of the future is going to live in a sterile environment. But the important thing about all this is that the next few years will show tremendous breakthroughs in our knowledge about the requirements of the captive environment. Now, this knowledge will not only affect our friend the goldfish, but will eventually affect the food and health requirements of all humans as well.